The story of America and Israel is not just about two nations standing together. It is about a secret bond, an alliance forged in war, tested by crisis, and cemented by shared power and hidden interests. To truly understand why the United States and Israel remain so close, we must travel back to the very beginning, to a moment when the world was still reeling from the horrors of the Second World War. In May of 1948, after decades of struggle, the Jewish leadership in Palestine declared the birth of the State of Israel. For Jews across the globe, this was a moment of triumph and survival, a safe homeland after the unimaginable destruction of the Holocaust. But for the Arab world, it was seen as an invasion, a betrayal, a foreign entity planted in their midst. The Middle East would never be the same again. Within hours, war broke out as Egypt, Jordan, Syria, Iraq, and Lebanon launched attacks against the young state. Israel, against all odds, managed to survive. Yet the question remained, would the world recognize this fragile nation? Just 11 minutes after Israel declared independence, the answer came from Washington. President Harry Truman announced that the United States officially recognized the State of Israel. It was a stunning move. His closest advisors, including Secretary of State George Marshall, warned him not to do it. They feared it would destabilize the Middle East, damage America's relationship with the Arab world, and threaten access to vital oil supplies. But Truman, guided by both moral conviction and domestic politics, made the choice. He believed the Jewish people deserved a homeland, but he also knew that support from Jewish American voters mattered. His decision set the foundation for a relationship that would grow deeper and more complicated with time. For the first decade after Israel's creation, America's support was limited. Washington provided some aid, but it was cautious, trying to balance its relationships with powerful Arab nations. At the time, the United States needed allies like Saudi Arabia for oil and influence. Israel was seen as too small and too controversial to risk everything for. But the Cold War changed the game. In 1956, during the Suez Crisis, Israel, Britain, and France attacked Egypt after President Gamal Abdel Nasser nationalized the Suez Canal. The United States, under President Eisenhower, actually pressured Israel to withdraw. It seemed like Washington might distance itself from Tel Aviv. But within a decade, everything shifted. In 1967, Israel fought the Six-Day War, a conflict that transformed the Middle East overnight. Surrounded by Arab armies, Israel launched preemptive strikes, destroying the Egyptian Air Force on the ground and seizing massive territory: Sinai, Gaza, the West Bank, East Jerusalem, and the Golan Heights. The war proved Israel was not just a small state fighting for survival. It was a regional military powerhouse. For the United States, this was a revelation. Israel could become a strategic partner in the Cold War, a stronghold against Soviet-backed Arab states like Egypt and Syria. Washington began increasing its military and financial support, seeing Israel not only as a friend, but as a valuable asset in the global balance of power. The true turning point came in 1973 during the Yom Kippur War. On the holiest day of the Jewish calendar, Egypt and Syria launched a surprise attack on Israel. The Israeli military was overwhelmed at first. Desperate for help, Prime Minister Golda Meir turned to the United States. President Richard Nixon and his Secretary of State Henry Kissinger responded with a secret airlift operation. Over 20,000 tons of weapons, tanks, and ammunition were flown to Israel. This massive resupply helped Israel recover and eventually push back its enemies. But the consequences were global. In retaliation, Arab members of OPEC launched an oil embargo on the United States and other nations that supported Israel. Gas prices in America quadrupled, fuel shortages caused chaos, and the world economy trembled. Yet despite the crisis, the U.S.-Israel bond grew stronger. America had chosen its side, and there was no turning back. By the 1980s, the alliance became institutionalized. Under President Ronald Reagan, the United States signed strategic cooperation agreements with Israel. Billions of dollars in military aid flowed every year, making Israel the largest recipient of American foreign assistance. Washington provided advanced fighter jets, tanks, and missile systems. In return, Israel shared intelligence and helped America in the shadowy world of the Cold War. Israel also developed cutting-edge military technology, from drones to surveillance systems, that benefited the Pentagon. The partnership was no longer just about survival. It was about strategy. The 1990s brought a new chapter. The Cold War was over, but the Middle East remained unstable. The United States became the chief mediator in peace efforts, hosting negotiations between Israel and the Palestinians. The Oslo Accords, signed in 1993 on the White House lawn with President Bill Clinton, Yitzhak Rabin, and Yasser Arafat, promised hope. For a brief moment, it seemed as though peace was possible, but the reality was more complicated. Violence, mistrust, and politics on both sides prevented lasting progress. Still, throughout the peace process, America's commitment to Israel's security never wavered. Even when Washington criticized settlement building or pushed for concessions, billions in aid and military support continued to flow. After the September 11th attacks in 2001, the relationship took on a new dimension. The United States and Israel now framed their bond as a fight against terrorism. Both countries argued that they were on the front lines of a global struggle. Counterterrorism, intelligence sharing, and joint military exercises deepened the partnership. Under President George W. Bush, the U.S. launched wars in Afghanistan and Iraq, reshaping the region. Israel, while not directly involved, supported America's war on terror narrative, positioning itself as a vital ally. Today, the U.S.-Israel relationship is stronger than ever in military terms. The United States provides over $3 billion annually in aid, most of it for defense. Together, they have developed missile defense systems like the Iron Dome, David's Sling, and Arrow, protecting Israel from rocket attacks while advancing America's own defense technologies. The countries also collaborate on cybersecurity, intelligence, and weapons research. American presidents, from Democrats to Republicans, continue to reaffirm their commitment to Israel. Whether it was Barack Obama negotiating security packages, Donald Trump moving the U.S. Embassy to Jerusalem, or Joe Biden approving new military aid, the bond has remained unbreakable. But the relationship is not without controversy. Around the world, critics accuse the United States of giving Israel unconditional support, even during conflicts in Gaza or Lebanon, where civilian casualties sparked outrage. Many argue that American backing allows Israel to act without accountability in its treatment of Palestinians. Others point to the influence of pro-Israel lobbying groups in Washington, suggesting that domestic politics play as much of a role as strategy. Supporters, on the other hand, claim the alliance is built on shared democratic values, religious ties, and mutual interests in a dangerous region. So what is the truth behind this alliance? Is it a story of friendship and shared values? Or is it a story of power, politics, and hidden deals? The answer lies somewhere in between. The United States and Israel are bound together not by chance, but by decades of history. Wars fought, crises endured, and strategies aligned. What began as a controversial decision by President Truman in 1948 has become one of the most enduring partnerships in modern geopolitics. As the Middle East continues to face wars, uprisings, and shifting alliances, one thing remains certain. The secret bond between America and Israel will continue to shape the destiny of the region and the world for generations to come.